being able to put effort in today for a future result that is actually not guaranteed, that is something that not a lot of people have.
Reasons more people don't build something new or don't reach a dream is literally just the lack of action.
On this week's episode of the Matthew Byrd Podcast, innovator and highly driven entrepreneur, Josh Lustig joins Matthew in studio.
Now you have to. The ball's rolling and I got to get on board with it, you know? And for me, that's been very helpful. Otherwise, you sit here and just overanalyze, and then 2 years goes by, and you're still working the corporate job that you wanted to quit.
I think there's so much opportunity today, right? So much is changing in what is possible.
This is firing me up and leads me to a thought of like, everyone take a clean sheet of paper out, and at the very top, write in big bold, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be?
If you had to summarize with one final piece of advice to them, what would it be? Hey guys, before we listen to the full episode, we wanted to ask, if you're liking this content, would you please subscribe to the channel and like the video? It really helps me and our team grow this podcast and bring in more awesome guests to the channel. Thank you, and back to the episode. All right, Josh, welcome to the studio.
Hey, thanks. Beautiful place.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I know we've met recently, but I'm really excited to dig into some of your story. My favorite thing about interviews and podcast is learning the behind the scenes about people, right? I think we meet so many people going to events, networking, things like that, but you see them in passing. You hear like 5-10, minutes worth of who they are and what they do. The podcast allows kind of that deeper dive, right? And the other thing I like is going back in people's stories a little bit and hearing like the journey through some of their career in hopes that those that listen can extract some value out of that. So, awesome. You good for that?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So we're going to start with, take us back a little bit on your early days, where you grew up and, what your life was like.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously a lot of people in my world know the story of the exit and all this, but when you go back, it's much more fascinating to me when you know where I actually come from. I come from a town of 1,000 people in central Idaho, literally 1,000 to be clear. And there's there's stop signs, but there's no stoplights. Yep. There's one stoplight in the entire county. I was like so nervous when I graduated and went to Seattle and I was driving. I'm like, what are these strange lights? It really, really was a country, like homegrown lifestyle. Grew up on a farm, very blessed. My dad had a business, but then nights and weekends he was farming, full-time as well. So like 2 full-time jobs. And he always really instilled a lot of work ethic. I mean, I grew up every single morning feeding cows, literally throwing hay bales and cutting strings off the bales and stuff since I was a little kid. And that's just like such in my opinion, an advantage. A lot of people say like coming from a small town is a disadvantage because like you don't have as big a worldview or insert any number of things people say. But I'm just so grateful for that. Yeah. Like just the consistency and the discipline of always having to get up before school, do chores, and the whole 9 yards. So very different than some people, but I'm very blessed to have that lifestyle.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there is so much value that comes out of that, right? I mean, and there's no right path to life, right? Some kids in the city, some kids in the country, but there's so much good that can come from any of it. And I think the work ethic that comes from the country living,
and
that's underestimated.
At times, it's not like every day I was so blessed. It's not like I was posting on Instagram every day #blessed. Like there was times where like, I really don't want to get up and go feed cows this morning. Yeah. I got home at 1 a.m. from a away basketball game, and you're a senior in high school and you're like, oh man, I just want to sleep in. It's like 6 o'clock or sometimes 5:30. Yeah. Got to go feed cows and get after it, even in the snow. Yep. But like that, like doing things that you don't want to do. I'm talking to my 7-year-old about this right now, my son. I'm like, look, it's not like work is not a punishment. Work is a privilege, and being able to actually do this and learn these lessons at a young age, that's going to serve you well your entire life. And I'm just so blessed that I was forced into it.
Yeah.
You know, in that environment.
Yeah, you carry those through to what you end up doing later, right? Which is where I'd love to talk through a little bit. So I think a lot of my community probably doesn't know you, doesn't know your story on the business side too. So what did you get into early in your career? You know, you obviously grew up on the farm.
Yeah.
What did the story into career work, you know, and the business journey look like?
Yeah, so I'll start when I was 17. I got into personal development, and I started. This teacher of mine said, "Hey, Josh, you're gonna think this is unfair. You need to go read this book and do a presentation. You're the only one in the class that has to do this, by the way. And you have to give a presentation next week for 45 minutes on this book called Leadership and Self-Deception." And I was like, oh, this is unfair. And I started complaining. He's like, I will literally fail you if you don't do this. So I went and did it. And until that point, I didn't have any big ambitions or anything. I just didn't know. I was 17. And I loved it. I loved presenting. I loved reading. It sparked this journey for me. And I read 54 books on leadership, personal development, sales, all that stuff, like Zig Ziglar type stuff, Brian Tracy. And it just got me addicted to the process of learning how to become a better human. And that took me until I was a senior. I went to college for 4 whopping months.
There you go.
I said, this isn't for me. It came pretty easy, but I just didn't love it. And I was like, I just want to go get married to my girlfriend. We were 19. I want to go get married to my girlfriend and, you know, live a different life and get into business. So I went and started selling insurance. I was 18, turned 19 when I got my license. And we made a whopping $14,000 my first year in business.
There you go.
Woo-hoo,
Hey.
right? And we doubled every year after that, and for about 8.5 years. And we sold for a little less than $50 million to a private equity firm last year, an insurance agency. So that's what we got into. I'm fast forwarding the story a little bit, but it's like such a wild journey, you know. And there's a lot of lessons along that.
So let's just go straight back a little bit to what do you think you learned living on the farm in the rural area that you brought into your work, and how did that help you in growing a business?
For sure, it's the doing things that you don't want to do, but you know you just need to do them for a future reward, kind of like that delayed gratification. And I coach a lot of people in the insurance business now, and one of the things I find is there are people that are way more talented than me, way smarter. Again, I only went to college for 4 months, for whatever that's worth. And, you know, just more qualified to be some big business owner, know how to run the spreadsheets better, all these CRMs, even better at the technology side than me, whatever. But so many people just lack the gumption to go do it again, to make the next phone call. And in the insurance world, and when you're selling health insurance and you don't know anybody and nobody knows you, the only way to get them to know you is to call them.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're calling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls a week. Just to find a couple people that'll say yes, and then it builds out from there, and you get smarter and you start doing that. But being able to put effort in today for a future result that is actually not guaranteed, that is something that not a lot of people have. And I was just blessed to be raised in a way where it's like, whether you want to or not, the cows have to eat, the chores have to be done. So you can either do it and get paid for it, or you can do it and not get paid for it. You know, that was my dad's rule.
There
so
you go.
You might as well get paid. I was like, okay. So that's one skill that's really helped me. Just, you know, there's just things you don't want to do some days.
Yep.
And you got to do it anyway. I mean, you know that. You've been through that same journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to hear, so, you know, insurance was something you fell into, it sounds like. Yeah. That wasn't really what did you love it?
No, I mean, I think insurance is just a widget to me.
Yep.
Like, and not to be demeaning to it. The industry, I love the industry. It's a great industry. It helps people. If you do it right, you're helping people. But for me, it wasn't ever like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go sell insurance.
Yeah.
I more fell in love with the actual process, like the sales, you know, part of it, and getting on the phone and talking to people and helping out little old ladies with this on this day. And then the next day you're talking to some young guy about his life insurance for his young family. I loved that and the building the business part.
Yeah. That's cool. So getting to where you are now, you've had the exit on the insurance side. What else are you now working on?
Yeah, so for me, like the insurance side, we built a business and we're very privileged to be able to do that. And now it's like, hey, how do I give back to the next generation? I mean, we still have business pursuits that we're going after, don't get me wrong. We're building out, you know, content, we're building out, you know, this whole, you know, content creation studio, all this stuff. But for me, it's more about like, how do we help the next generation grow in those personal development lessons. And, there's lots of schools and other areas that'll teach, and AI now, information is basically free. There's lots of areas that young people can learn the book knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I want to come out in an AI and technology-based world. I want to teach human skills, and so that's what we're doing. We're hosting events around the country, starting here in Boise next month, teaching like those human skills. So think about goal setting, salesman, how do you actually sell something? How do you sell an idea? How do you sell a product? What words do you use? What's your body language? What's your tonality? Networking skills. How do you talk to other people at events? And it's not what you know, it's who you know. But like physically and practically, what do you do to get better at those skills? That's what I'm super passionate about. So helping people that are in their 20s, people that are in college, maybe even high schoolers will be coming to these events.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I know we've had a little bit of conversation about this in the past, but like, I think so many people need that type of information. I mean, and you could go so much further than the lack of that, but pursuing traditional university. I think there's so much opportunity today, right? So much is changing in what is possible. Like, what type of business could you build? What could you go into on your own as a young person? It's no longer the only option is graduate high school, go to a university, spend 4, 5, 6 years getting a degree, and go in. That is still what the education system looks like, I think, for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a huge lack of this.
Yeah.
So, and the only people that are really teaching it are those that like find it, become passionate about it, and are basically creating their own ways to educate.
Yeah, I mean, on the subject of college, I think that it's a good path for some, but I'm honestly in the opinion, unless you're gonna be a doctor or a lawyer or something that actually requires it, pretty much the information is free now.
Yeah.
Like, I remember someone was like, well, Josh, I can't believe you're not gonna go to college. And I'm like, let me just rebuttal with this. I can go watch the same Harvard professor on YouTube giving speeches, giving information out, reading their personal books. Like, if you're going to argue that it's better information at a college setting for not all subjects, but like business in general, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know a single reason why you'd want to do that.
Yeah.
Because I can go get it for free. And then the experience side of it, I can go pursue actual business. Instead of learning business, let's do business.
Yeah.
And go out and actually get in the weeds and try to build something and fail and have to overcome it. Because 4 years, let's be honest, that's 4 years of studying. You're going to get out and you're going to pretty much be at the same spot when it comes to business.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to have to go fail and figure it out.
Yeah. There's book smarts and then there's street smarts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Street business smarts. That's what more people need. If you go to school thinking you're going to come out of school and you're just ready to go, you're like, oh, but you haven't done the real work yet.
Exactly. I mean, where did you get the street smarts? Because I know like there's a certain grit that you have just in our previous conversations, but I'm like, where does that come from?
I think to me, at some point it just became a mentality. It became a mindset of, once I decided to step out into entrepreneurship and leave a company, like I was so passionate about just doing the work. I lost the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't find a client? What if I need to buy it? Like I didn't question any of the potential negatives really. It was just that thought of like, I'm going to take one step at a time and I'm going to accomplish that step, which is like quit my corporate job.
Yeah.
Okay, now what do I do?
Well, now
I
you
need to
have
reach
to
out
do
to clients.
something.
And I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, and I think there's negative that can come from it as well, right? Not everybody who steps out like that ends up finding their path. Like,
that's true.
Some fail, and it ends badly, and you can either learn from that and improve and find another path to keep taking those steps. But a lot of people, if they fail once, they give up, they quit, But the greatest companies were built through struggles, through trying new things, right? Like even the big companies we know today, Amazon, Netflix, whatever, right? They didn't even start as what they are now.
Yeah.
They were some other random business and it wasn't working. They shifted and they tried something new and and so it's that consistency. It's that willing to be bad at something and that mindset of like, there's always gonna be a struggle, but I'm gonna keep trying anyways, and I'm gonna keep figuring it out, and I'm gonna keep figuring it out. And I think once you do that for a while, you get conditioned to like, that's just how you think now.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of who you are.
Like you've literally rewired your brain to think a new way.
Yeah.
And that's what some of my mentors did for me early on is like, certain elements, I wouldn't want to say too much, or I was a little bit not shy, but like I didn't want to come across like I knew everything.
Yeah.
And so I was so kind of like a false humility, but one of my mentors helped me rewire that. And now I got to like focus on the opposite, like tone it back a little bit, but you actually train your brain to completely think differently.
Yeah.
And it's just like now who you are. On the topic of like fear, and I think that holds most people back.
Yep.
Right. And certainly there's elements of that in my life too, but you just learn to not listen to it as much.
Yeah.
And I like just the idea of, hey, I can have a perfect plan for 10 or 15 years, and I am a planner, so I do try to have
and I'm the opposite.
a great plan. But it's like
there's no wrong way. Go.
No, but like I think I'm going to agree with you a little bit here. Is it's like once you have a plan and you start taking actions, the rest of the ending of that plan changes completely. Like you said, Amazon did not start this way. It started as like a book sales company, right?
Yeah.
And now it's selling every product known to man.
And
at a
manufacturing it, and I mean everything.
Exactly. And cloud storage, I mean, all this stuff. And it's like sometimes you have to, on let's say a 10-year journey, and you're going towards this goal, sometimes you have to make decisions only to the next vantage point. And you go along, and let's say it's 6 more months, and now it's like I'm at a new higher ground, and I can see a little clearer to the goal. And let me just take another few steps. I'm going to go on the journey for another year, and you get up, now you're 18 months in, and you're like, oh, wow, now it's way clearer because I'm on a higher ground. I can see farther. And for me, that's been a huge realization, is allowing myself to like get to a new vantage point and allow myself to make a new decision. Let's get this business to this metric. Let's say it's profitability. Let's say it's $500,000 a year. Let me get this business to $500,000 a year. And then from that, I can either say, why don't I start this side project, or I can double down on this business and go further.
Again, I think there are successful people and successful businesses that have done it all ways, right? Somebody who has no plan and someone who's completely planned it out. Like, I think you can get there no matter what. And I think that comes down to the person, how they operate. I mean, and ultimately you're responsible for the decisions you make and the outcome, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was, might have been Airbnb. There was another company I was listening to a founder interview, and they were saying the same thing. Like they don't have a 5-year goal. They don't have a 10-year goal. They don't have a business plan for that far out. They keep like a 2-year running plan. And every 6 months, they update the 2-year plan.
Yeah.
So there is a roadmap, but like things might shift in a certain way with what you're building. You might have a new realization. A market might change. Like I think being willing to make a change if something comes up that seems like the right move. And that's also a hard balance though, with like also not chasing the shiny object, right? You don't want to shift yourself all the time just because there's something new, but being willing to realize, hey, I think there's a new decision we can make that's going to completely change something, and it deletes something else you've done. Like a small example we've done internally, we spent, I don't even know, 8 months, 10 months, tens of thousands of dollars building out a website. And by the time we were getting closer to it being like where it was close to the mark. Yeah. We decided we needed to completely change, delete the whole thing, and start over on something brand new, way easier, simple. And it's like, and certain people internally are like almost angry or upset that we made that decision. But to me, and they're like, you know how much money you wasted building that? And I'm like, I know, but the reason, right? Yeah. And so you always have to weigh those pros and cons. Why are you going to make that decision? And if you're confident in that decision, you have to trust your gut. You have to trust your intuition, why it is. Because especially being someone in the driver's seat at times, you have so many things that are feeding why you make the decisions you make. And so many other people that may give you feedback on that, they see a part of it. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think that's also why when you're building a team, the culture is so important. The trust of those people is so important. And, you trust them and you give them responsibilities and vice versa, right? You want people that are going to trust your leadership in why you're making certain decisions.
Yeah, I think for you, obviously you've mastered the skill of being very comfortable in the mess. And I think a lot of people are not, and entrepreneurs are not comfortable sitting in the mess and realizing that building a company is messy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a clean, straight shot. It's, we're going to go this direction on a straight line until tomorrow comes around, and then we're going to have to jag over here for a minute and do something else, and then hopefully we get back on our way. But being, like, open to new ideas and also still be able to weed out the bad ones. Because, like you said it, you could also get really sidetracked really fast in entrepreneurship. And staying focused, is very, very important. One thing you mentioned earlier, and it just got me thinking, I'm a big fan of the idea of having a very low action threshold. So like your ability, somebody was once telling me this, like your ability to make decisions and go very quickly to action. So we have this idea to build a website, and I want it stood up next week. Like, I want it done, right?
Yeah.
Or we're going to start a new company. We just decided last week that I was going to sell a new product line, maybe, potentially. I got on the phone and the next day sold 2 customers into something we don't even own. We don't even have it built yet. And I said, don't worry, it's coming. You're on the wait list. Take the money. And here's the expectation. It'll be here June 1st. For me, otherwise, it's the website that you're talking about. If it takes too long, life pivots so fast. If we decide and sit on this for 8 months, I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to do it in 8 months. But if I get the ball rolling and I start getting commitments and I start getting, I put a lot of risk out there because we make commitments to certain things before we're ready. Now you have to. The ball's rolling and I got to get on board with it, And for me, that's been very helpful. Otherwise, you sit here and just overanalyze and then 2 years goes by and you're still working the corporate job that you wanted to quit.
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons more people don't build something new or don't reach a dream is literally just the lack of action. So many more people have read more books than me, have degrees, went and studied but the lack of action will never help you build that thing. Like the action is the scary part because as soon as you take one step, right, it may or may not go well. And that's where the fear kicks in and most people are like, back to comfortable.
And that's why, not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. And it's not like in today's culture, I think it's a badge of honor because all these reels going around, basically get this feeling like if you're not an entrepreneur or business owner, then you suck. I don't buy into that at all. I think it's for some people and that's great. Be good at it. And it's not for others. I have some very intelligent people that I coach that have just recently got into the insurance business and they come from a corporate background and they're very good at business plans and it sounds very intelligent because it is. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of data analytics. There's a lot of spreadsheets involved. And there's no customers yet. And they're asking do you think, what do you think? And I'm like, look, this is all above my pay grade. And it's kind of funny because they have 0 revenue and we sold for 50 million. And they're like, well, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, look, I could do this same business plan on a napkin. It's great. But what needs to happen now is you need to get on the phone and call 10 people, right? And ask them to buy insurance, know? And not in a demeaning way, but that stuff is 8-figure, 9-figure mindset stuff when you don't have a 6-figure bank account yet. So it's kind of how do we, that's great, put it on the shelf for later, but right now we need to go hustle. We need to make some money by calling people and ask them to buy your services. Without sales, there is no company. Get that to a certain level and then start listening to the things that you're reading in these books and the plan. So
you can literally just tie up all your time spinning in circles about the perfect way to build things and SOPs and processes and training. And it's at the end of the day, it comes down to that.
Right? Go sell your product. Go sling some
which
stuff.
Again, that's why to me, it's action is so much more important than anything else. Because even if you don't have strategy, you don't have a business plan, you don't have it all figured out yet. If you had to pick one or the other, it's action because you're going to figure things out. You're going to fail. You're going to struggle. You're going to see what works. You're going to see what doesn't. And if you take a year and you do one or the other, the action is going to actually turn you into the business.
Absolutely. Because you have to. You start going down this path and obstacles come up and you're faced with a decision. You're 50,000 in or you're 100,000 in on investing into this new venture. Now there's a stickiness. You didn't foresee the obstacle or you probably wouldn't have started it in the first place. But now you're here and now you're sitting there talking to your wife on a couch one night, ask me how I know. And you're like, babe, I think I'm a little too far into this project, a little too deep to quit. But I want to. I want to quit really bad, but I can't. And so therefore I won't.
Yeah.
And I'll figure it out tomorrow. So you get some sleep, you wake up the next day and you say, well, I got to do what I got to do. Back to feeding cows every day. The cows don't eat if you don't feed them. You just got to do what you got to do, and you'll learn along the way. And that's why the action is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the fact that you're specifically focused on trying to inspire younger people. And there's also still opportunity, right, for older people who are stuck in, a certain job, or they're not pursuing something they love, or that, I think there's opportunity for anybody
for sure
to look at, these opportunities and change. But what is it that drives you to focus on the younger people? And
yeah, there's opportunity for everyone, no matter what their age. For me, it's just like my life changed when I was 17.
Yeah.
And it's not like my life was so awful. I don't have that, Cry Me a River story, so you're not going to get that here today. But like, I did not have bigger ambitions. I didn't know what that even looked like. And I was exposed to some books, some courses, some mentors, some coaching. And it's like all of the homegrown, values and disciplines and virtues that I was being taught as a kid, I can't speak to that enough.
Yeah.
But there was also this like large scale vision I didn't have. And I want to be able to give that to young people, because that's just when my life was changed. Yeah. And you're also in that age very receptive to learning things about the mindset side, which is my passion. Just the way your brain works and thinks about problems and perceives the world around you. I'm a big Zig Ziglar fan. I grew up on that stuff. Once I was 17. And that's just been such a game changer for me, because oftentimes what I find, talking to people, coaching people in careers, whether they're a business owner or not, it's not the hard skills. It's not the hard skills of the actual knowing the tech, or knowing how to physically code, or physically knowing the insurance products in my case, or whatever the industry is. It's not the technical stuff that actually brings you to the top 1%. It's always the soft skills. Those things are great and they're needed for sure.
Yep.
But the soft skills are actually what brings someone to be the manager and to move up the ladder in the corporate side of things. The ability to work with people, to manage people, to inspire people. Those are the things that bring you to the top. And so, and it's what I have witnessed in my own life. And so I want to give that back to the next gen. And to be honest, on average, when I talk to 10 people that are younger versus 10 people that have maybe been 20 or 30 years in their career, most people that are younger are okay and receptive to the idea of like, I'm going to listen to this mindset stuff. I have found, and this is just an observation, it's not across the board for everybody. I have found the longer someone has lived on this earth and gone through experiences, the less receptive, not always, but the less receptive they are to sitting down and saying, maybe it's the way that I'm talking to people that's the problem.
Yeah.
You tell a 20-year-old business owner, maybe no one wants to work for you because the way you're talking to them. Like I can feel the energy. They're way more receptive to that than when I talk to someone that's 50 and they're saying, Josh, there's no good people here to work for me. The last 5 secretaries I've had haven't worked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's pretty hard to tell that person, maybe it's the way you're communicating for the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I started, when my dad was in the business, and my dad would coach me one day, and he's like, look, you have this employee underneath you. You need to tell them if they're doing something that, like, let's say they're answering the phone, and they're answering the phone for the insurance agency, and they're talking in a way that maybe the tone is not the way we are, maybe it's a negative tone. The day to correct that is the first day you witness it, not after they've been doing it wrong for 12 months.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pride involved.
Yeah.
When you correct somebody that's been doing it wrong for 12 months, hey, by the way, the last 5,000 times you've answered the phone, it was wrong. That's a lot harder for someone to stomach than, hey, the last 5 hours, you've answered the phone this way. Let's try answering it this way just because it sounds a little bit better, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, I got off on a little tangent there.
No,
but
that's
training
good.
people, I've found that.
Yeah,
They're more, the quicker you can correct a problem, the closer to the problem you can correct it, the more receptive somebody is to it.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a good age group to target also, because I feel like so many people have no idea what they want to do at that age, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of paralysis, because there's so many options. We actually interviewed like 10 people from a fraternity, one by one,
Nice.
Here in Boise. And that was one of the number one things is like, hey, we've got so much information available. There's this guy yelling at me on Instagram when I go to bed, when I wake up. Like, there's so many ways to do my career or to start a business that I just don't even know which one to choose.
Yeah.
There's too much opportunity.
Yep.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, which you're leading into my next area I wanted to ask about, which is like mentorship. So, how do you think about mentorship?
I think there's two ways to learn something. Number one is I can put my own blood, sweat, and tears into it and learn the hard way. And that takes no money, but it takes a lot of trial and error. And I got to do the work, and I can get there. Let's say I can get there in 10 years on this project, whatever it is, by trial and error. Great, do it. Or I can shortcut it, and the only shortcut is to pay for somebody else to teach me what they already did on trial and error and say, hey, look, good idea, but I tried that thinking it was a good idea. It didn't work. Here's why. Do this instead.
Yep.
If somebody has already done what I want to do, then isn't it more intelligent, if I have the money, to go pay them to teach me?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not anti-college and education. I just think there's faster and better ways to get the information.
Better people to pay other than universities.
Yeah, just personally,
Someone else, yeah.
Like this guy has literally grown a business, scaled it, sold it for $20 million or whatever. If that person can teach me what they know in my particular field, that's way more valuable than learning from somebody else that's never done that's theorizing from an armchair.
Right, which is most normal education, is people teaching you something that they've never done.
Yeah.
So it's all from book information.
There is inherent value there. Like there actually is. It's kind of like you can teach someone to shoot a basketball if you've never done it. If the information is good, like you can, from a textbook, you could teach someone, here's the proper form to shoot a basketball.
Yeah.
But if I could go to the next basketball coach across the hall and they can teach me, hey, I've shot 10,000 free throws in my life and I can shoot a basketball and I also have the textbook information.
Yeah.
Which one's better?
Yeah. I like that. Another question. So there's obviously a lot of coaches out there. I think that's actually when you look at coaches, you look at mentors. We're talking a lot about content and online and social, and that also feels like a just flood of information. And back to your point of like, people are trying to make decisions of like what to do, who to listen to. There's conflicting angles. Like, how do you guide people to like find someone to actually trust and work with? Yeah, I mean, the last 10 years, the coaching industry has exploded as an industry, right? Yeah. So now you have 90% of these people out there, let's just be honest, do not know what they're talking about. And that's probably normal for every industry. But when there is 1,000 coaches out there on your Instagram all day running ads, you need to find someone that's actually done what you want. Mm-hmm. So I would not here's a better way to say this. When you're looking for a mentor, figure out what specific skill or knowledge base, like if you're starting a company, okay, specifically what industry and who has that knowledge. If you're talking about getting married and you're like, well, how do I have a good marriage? Go find someone that's been married for 50 years and ask them. Yeah. So I realized like my grandparents, I love them to death. They have been very successful in their marriage. They've been married for almost 60 years. Now, would I take necessarily a ton of business owner advice and financial advice from those same people? Maybe not, right? Because they haven't built the same thing that I want to build in a business sense. Yep. So one of the things is like just take from each mentor one specific thing. Yeah. Don't think that the person that makes all the money and teaches you how to monetize and sell and all that, don't necessarily think that you have to be like them in their personal life. Yeah. That might not be who you want to be. Yeah. You don't have to look at their marriage. I find a lot of young guys especially will idolize a person. Yep. And then they will learn a business skill or sales ability from that person and think they have to become like them in all areas. Yeah. No, you don't. Yeah. And I fell into that trap early. Yeah. And I got out of that. It's like, no, I have a coach for this and a coach for this and a coach for this, but not one coach for everything. Yeah. Is that making sense? Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, that is a huge, I I've talked about that a lot because I follow a lot of different people, right? Celebrities out there, whatever, the Gary V's and the Grant Cardones and all those people. And I've got, I've had people on my team over the years that some of them love them and some of them hate them.
Yeah.
And my answer is always like, look, I don't love anything, I don't love everything about any of them.
Right.
But why am I following this one? Well, because what does he share? He shares all these strategies about social. He's proving what works. He tells me about how to build a podcast. No matter what book you read, what person you follow, what content you watch, what YouTube channel, like take everything with a grain of salt. Pick the things that you think sound proper, like you want to do, you believe in from each person, and recreate it into how you make decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to love everything about anybody.
Right.
And I still get that, right? Because I talk about like Elon Musk. I look up to Elon Musk as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, everybody should.
The successful businesses he's created. He's so innovative. He's trying things no one else would try. But then other people are like, I can't believe you'd say Elon because he's in the political realm. And I'm like,
take Donald Trump.
Take one thing at a time, right?
Even take Trump.
Yeah.
Even more controversial. It's like, okay, he clearly has some skills that if you're a human, you probably want some of those skills. Yeah. Does it mean that you have to take on every attribute? No.
Yeah.
Like if you're a business owner and you want to learn how to negotiate better, I don't know. He's negotiating on some pretty big stages right now, right? Like there'd be some things that you can learn there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you have to be like him in every other capacity.
Yeah.
Or Elon or even Grant Cardone. Like
all of them.
10X, dude. Like that's a great framework.
Yep.
Does it mean that you have to talk like him? You don't have to if you don't like that style, right?
Yep. And that's what I think also then makes, each person in the decisions they make in who they want to be, right? You need to be clear about that, or else, like you said, right, you might get sucked into like, oh, I need to fully be like that person, right? It's like, no, start with who are you, right? Mm-hmm. What is your core? What are your values? What do you care about? Now, through that lens, no matter who you look to learn from, whatever book you look to read, you're going to take the parts that fit into your puzzle, right? I have a puzzle. I believe this. This is my values. I'm looking for information on marketing and sales, not a guy I can idolize that I want to be exactly like, but I need to fill these gaps where I want to learn. That's how you do it, though. You need to read. You need to learn from others. So you have to put everything through that lens.
This is firing me up and leads me to a thought of like, one of my favorite questions, and we do this at our seminars, is everyone take a clean sheet of paper out, and at the very top, write in big bold, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? You literally can change your life in whatever capacity. It's like 20 years from now, or on my deathbed, let's say, what do I want to look back and say, what was my life?
Yep.
And that's like back to, why would you even go do something new? People are like, Josh, why didn't you just retire? Like technically we could and live a very nice life the rest of our life. I wouldn't need any more money. But it's like, why go risk it all again? Instead of just play it safe is like, because who do I want to be? If the goal of life was to just make money until I was secure and then never have to do another damn thing in my life, well then yeah, I'd be an idiot right now. You gained it. Why would you risk it again?
Yeah.
But for me, that's not what life's about. It's about progress. It's about becoming the best version of me.
Yeah.
How do I become the 10.0 version of me? It's going to be through the trials. It's going to be through solving a bunch of problems day in and day out. And that's not comfortable.
Yep.
But it's a good thing we weren't made for comfort. We were made for greatness.
Yep.
And that's what gets me so fired up.
Yep.
It's like, let's go pursue something.
Yep.
And yeah, there's going to be hard days, but who cares?
Yep. Another that stuck with me, I had Ryan DeLuca from bodybuilding.com.
Oh, awesome.
In the podcast. And, he talks about, right, they sold for $500 million. And he's like, I went through the phase of like being on the beach with the pina coladas and whatever, right? But, and this is where we see so many successful people. Unfortunately, you could talk about the statistics. Some take their lives, some get depressed, some spend all their money, like go gamble, is that money doesn't end up just fulfilling you. And that's why, again, you go back to like your core of what your why is and what is it that you actually want to do. What really is going to make you happy in building a business long-term? Sure, money is probably a fun short-term success.
Yeah.
But then it's like how now, and you've even talked about it with some of your missions, like how can we actually make an impact on other people and help them and help their lives and help their journeys and help their, and that's where one of the things he said that stuck with me is like, the best way to build a great business is doing something you love that helps other people. And that's just like stuck in my mind of like, it really is, when you can put those two things together, something that you actually love doing, because that's why you'll show up every day, you'll work hard, you work nights, you will risk it because you're like, I actually enjoy this.
Right.
If you don't, you're very likely to quit.
You are. I mean, we're very selfish by nature. I mean, that's gonna lead to a place where it's like, what am I even doing this for? And that's like at a certain point. I mean, I 100% agree with you, because in my life, at least, the times that I was like very focused on others and there's a mission and I'm serving things, it's like flow state.
Yeah. Relationships,
networking stuff comes faster than ever. People out of nowhere call me and want to do some favor for us just because, and it's like, some people call that the universe, whatever. I call that God. I think God has his hand on those moments.
Yep.
And it's like, I've never had faster growth than in my business, even profitability wise, everything, than when I'm actually trying to serve.
Yep.
And the moments, and there's been plenty of these too, where I'm like very self-centered and it's very about me. It's about my image, or it's about me making more profit, or all that. Those moments in time, you'd think you'd make way more money in those moments. No.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the word frequency because it makes me sound like wooey, but there's like, think about it not in that sense, not spiritually, but like just in life, like a velocity.
Yeah.
That when you are serving other people, as it should be, the world reacts to you in that way.
Yeah.
And serves you back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very crazy to me, just even looking at my own little life, saying that principle is absolutely true. It's as if almost biblical knowledge actually has some value.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot in there that I totally agree with. And the other thing I try to tell people on that point as well, because I try to talk a lot about like I talk about building our community that we're focused on. And I'm like, what is behind actually building a community that has value? It's me actually genuinely wanting other people to be successful. If it's done in a ingenuine way, that it's like for me and it's like this scheme, it doesn't work. It's broken. You can tell in conversations with people and how they talk, in their content, in meeting them in person, you can tell when there's some other motive.
Yeah, when their heart's not in it. Like you said, it's for me, but I'm like basically spinning this to where, there's like a little bit of truth in this to help somebody else too.
Yep. But when you actually, genuinely, truly are trying to help the other people and give first without expecting anything in return, that's when people actually see, geez, like I connect with that person. Like they're genuinely helping me. It makes them want to give to you. Gary Vee's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yeah.
That's like, it's a step in between, because he's like, he wants to genuinely give his info. He gives before he ever asks for anything. And by building that relationship from giving, people want to help you. They want to buy what you're doing. They trust you, right? People don't want to buy from you if they don't trust you. So, and it's why so many of today's like big content creators and influencers, they genuinely give 100% of all of the knowledge that they have freely.
Yeah.
Because they're truly helping, knowing that, hey, in some other way, it may come back at some point. Those people that I'm helping may come back and want more. They may come to an event I put on. They may buy some book I put out. But they're not holding back information. They genuinely want other people to take that information and become successful with it.
And that's the crazy part. You can. You don't ever have to pay them a dime.
Nope.
If you don't want to. I mean, you'll get there faster if you do.
Yep.
But you don't have to. You can. That's the world we're living in. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, and that's been fairly recent.
Yeah.
Really, as far as like information, the amount of knowledge you can get has been held back for centuries.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, along comes these people that have this wild idea. Well, let's give everything away for free, and then people will actually want to use our services more.
Yeah.
And it does work, but it is hard work. Like, to get your mindset to a level where you're like, okay, I'm going to give my best stuff away for no cost.
Yep.
it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like in practice, at least for me, I feel like I got to check myself and be like, is this actually painful to give away?
Yeah.
If it's not, then this is just fluff.
Yep.
But if it is painful, then we're on the right track.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to hurt a little bit. You have to it has to be risky, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you are getting into information sharing, you also have to have something that makes you unique, right? If you're in a niche, you're in a certain industry, you're like, that's the opportunity. There's a billion people online sharing all the generic stuff.
But there's only one of you. And like that's why the personal brand side of things is very interesting to me. Is it's like there is like if you try to be a better Alex Hermosi, or you're never gonna beat Alex at his own game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But nobody can beat you just being you, talking about the things that you're passionate about with your life experiences, with your hometown, vibe that you had from when you were a kid, plus your industry. Like, there's a reason that actually is valuable.
Yep.
To a subsection of people.
Totally. Yeah. And it's what most people don't realize. Like, they think they need to be like some other successful person. And it's like, no, if you actually really just embrace the things that make you unique, that's what's going to set you apart even more. Like, and there's unlimited room for that.
Yeah. You can beat everybody else at being you.
Yeah, exactly. Man, well, I appreciate you coming in and chatting a bit. Glad to introduce you to my community. I know you have a few things coming up, though. So with your mission of inspiring next generation, one, I'm excited to even talk more about that collectively because, it's a small part of what we want to do with both this podcast, but even our RCN community in whole. And, we have a certain niche we're targeting there with like inspiring people into the built environment, which is construction technology, flying drones and being in virtual reality as a job. Most kids have no idea that exists, and it's a huge market. So one, I align with you on like, we need to, whatever it is that kids want to get into, they need to know about more opportunities than what, the traditional routes look like. So
100%. We'd love to have you guys as part of that in any capacity, whether you can make the first event or not. We're going to be doing these around the country, but we're calling it Ignite Gen Z. And it really, like, the topics are relevant whether you're 20 or whether you're 30 or whether you're 60. The topics are really like, take time out of your life, 2 days to go to a seminar for someone to really ask you some pointed questions, give you space and time to think about the answers about what you want your life to look like.
Yep.
Set some goals, learn some new skills, get exposed to some new opportunities. And if that's something somebody listening to this knows, if it's them or if they know someone that's their niece or nephew or child or parent, whatever it is, we'd love to have them.
Yeah.
And events have changed my life early on, and so we want to do that. So Ignite Gen Z, the first one's June 27th and 28th here in Boise, and then we're going to be taking that on the road from there.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm excited about that and seeing how it all unfolds for you. We've talked a lot about advice. I mean, I feel like that's what we've talked about this entire time.
Yeah.
But if you had to leave with one final piece of advice, whether it be to those younger people, actually, yeah, that's what you're focused on. So if you had to summarize with one final piece of advice to them, what would it be? Choose
something today and do it now. Get out there and actually take action immediately today. So whether that's you want to lose some weight, let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, great. Go literally take the phone right now, go sign up for a gym membership. Call the gym, do it on your phone, whatever. Sign up for a gym membership and do 5 push-ups. If you want to start a company, okay, maybe don't quit your job unless you know that's what you need to do. If you're just waiting for nothing, quit the job today. If not, just go sell one customer. Just go get proof of concept, get the ball rolling, sell one customer. If you're listening to this and you're 20 years old and you have a crush that you see at the gym every day and you've never asked them out, just literally walk up right now. Go to the gym, walk up, ask them out on a date. Whatever it is, just take one immediate action that takes 5 minutes or less and just get the ball rolling and the next one will appear.
That's good. That's good. And that does apply to everybody.
Literally everybody.
That one, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter what it is you want to do. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? One of the biggest misses is just the lack of action. Every single person has something they've been thinking about wanting to do. better.
In
wanting
some
to
category
start,
of life.
Yes. Yeah. Mine would be the fitness side. It really would be.
Well, let's do it together. Let's do it together. I'm on a journey to figure that out as well. So,
okay, we're gonna hang up and do push-ups.
All right, I'm down. 10 push-ups.
Immediate
Here we go.
action. See, that's how you know we do what we talk about, right?
Most of the time.
We try. Well, thanks again for coming in. I'm sure it won't be the last time people hear from you, and
Awesome.
we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Matt.